My name is Ravi Krishna. Before going ahead, just let me give you a slight disclaimer. It's been more than a decade since I read something in English or wrote a paragraph at least. So if I make a lot of mistakes while I'm speaking in English or if my vocabulary is poor, please think that you have downloaded wrong subtitles for a Korean drama. So kindly bear with it. So yeah, cinema, a lot of people's passion. It's a dream world. I was born and raised in East Godavari district in a small town called Amalapuram in a joint family where, growing up in a joint family, like we used to live around 13 people in a single house where every night used to be a story night. So while kids are not interested in sleeping at on time, our grandparents used to narrate a story to put people to sleep. I was the only odd man out because everybody else was sleeping while listening to the story. I was opening my eyes wide while the story is being narrated. Like I was just continuously asking, what happens next? What happens next? If one person runs out of a story, I used to leave the bed and go to my paternal uncle or my elder brother or somebody and keep bugging them all night for stories. So my mother's mother, she was an amazing human being with a lot of stories in her head. She used to narrate a story to me. Everybody used to sleep off just in a snap of a finger. But when I used to wait for the next twist or probably the next story, she used to sing a song with an intention to put me to sleep. That song will have a complete concept of the entire story. So that was very fascinating for me. She used to take the core concept of a story and used to sing me as a song intuitively right away over there with all the concept in the song. So I used to just reminisce that and I used to sleep off. And the next day when I wake up, I used to try to extend that song. That used to be really fascinating to me. So when this particular picture, I want to show this to you guys because that was the first prize I ever won in my life for storytelling and rhymes. And my father still mocks at me that I'm good at lying. But hey, I'm just getting paid for writing down the lies on the papers right now. So this particular picture, every time my sister my sister is more like a non-fictional person. So I used to like fictional stories a lot, but my sister always wanted facts and stories. That's why my mom used to pick this picture every time my sister is troubling her to eat food. She used to tell her that I was getting onto the stage, one of the slippers was missing, it fell downstairs, and the PT sir is trying to pull out the slipper from under the stage, and the teacher standing behind is asking the photographer not to click the picture. So if this thing happens nowadays, this will be a DSLR camera and people will be immediately deleting that and would be clicking a better picture and killing a story. So the vintage photographs or vintage cameras or vintage video boxes are actually story boxes. They are not some faulty pictures or bad quality pictures. Just go back, revisit your old photo albums or something. Every photograph will have a story. Just ask your mom or your dad. They'll have a lot of stories to tell. So this is one such picture and I really love this picture and I want to tell this to you guys because conversations really matter a lot. People are not really talking these days much. So that was the initial setup where I was drawn towards stories. And growing up in a village like that, I used to roam around these temples and other tiny places where people used to discuss a lot about stories. And every time a festival happens in the village, there used to be puppet shows. And they used to have a screen and they used to have puppets. And one person will be standing behind the screen and will be continuously singing a song by narrating the whole story. Like Rama just hit the arrow like that and the demon died. The emotions used to be going high and low when they are singing the song. So it was absolutely fascinating for me. And parallelly, every Sunday evening at 4 o'clock, Doordarshan used to telecast a movie. So movie evening was a fantastic time for us. And all the movies that I watched were either devotional or historical. So I never had the difficulty of imagining how a god would look like because of all the pictures of the paintings, or how a king would look like because all the movies showed me. So I used to watch a devotional movie. I used to go back to the backyard of my house. I used to reminisce, like when they say Jai Shambhavi, they used to get a sword in the hand. So I used to do that, and I never got a sword. So I had to imagine the sword. So that's why I started sailing in the world of imagination. I used to tell cooked up stories to my sister. She used to believe all of them. She used to tell her friends all that. So all those things drove me to become a writer and started to drive me towards writing and cinema. I used to read newspapers a lot. I used to read all these, the beautiful way the newspapers used to explain or narrate a story. Earlier, Doordarshan used to report incidents without major emotions. Like if India won a match, cricket match, they used to say like there is a one-day match happened in Mumbai, Wankhede Stadium. Captain Azharuddin scored 100 runs, and it says 17th century, India won against Pakistan. That's the news. That's it. There were no flashing or scrolling or anything else of that matter. Now people started dramatizing stuff, over dramatizing stuff, saying like, with the hit of Azharuddin, the Pakistan's back broken. No, those things are not happening back then. So these dramatization stuff increased, like, when going with the trends, when the cable TV took over, I wanted to get into movies because I was doing the same thing. I was selling my stories. I was telling lies to people. And that was fun. So at that time, engineering happened. So the year was 2006. There was no, I came from Amalapuram, it's a small town, and where everything is available naturally, the resources were really good. But when it comes to technology, we are not there yet. We are just still struggling to get an internet connection. The internet was a 32 kbps dial-up connection. So if you initiate the connection, by the time it gets connected, you can actually go out, hang out with your friends, have some pakoda or chai or come back, then it gets connected. If you have to download a 4 MB photograph, you have to leave it overnight. So that was my situation back then. And I joined in an engineering college. The notice board has a competition called Short Film Fest. So everybody is so fascinated about it. And we all started discussing about what could be a short film. How could it be made? Because there was no YouTube right there back then. Because YouTube was something that we were reading in articles. It's not there yet in our home yet. So we were just discussing. And out of just sheer curiosity, I started writing down a story on a paper. There was this library period, so-called library period, where nobody read a book. They were all chit-chatting. They were doing flames and stuff behind the books, rough books and all. So at that time, I was just writing a short story. I wrote the story. I narrated this to a couple of friends. They were they really enjoyed it. And they were appreciating me a lot. One of my friends, her name is Pravalika, she said, why don't you make this as a video? I said, how can we make that? I don't even have a good camera or anything. She said, my sister's marriage is coming soon. And we bought a handycam. It has a real camera. Why don't you give it a try? She said, okay, fine. Maybe. I don't know. If your parents are okay with it, I can take the camera. Her mother was furious, but she anyhow managed to give me the camera. So the camera was really difficult to understand. The functionalities or technicalities are really difficult for me. But I somehow figured out that there is a start button. So you can actually fix that to a tripod. You can click on start. You can go to the front of the camera. You act by yourself. You come back and you cut it. I was doing this after the college, every day in the college garden. One of my friends, Arvind, saw that. He just casually came and said, hey, what are you doing and all? Godavari people are very sarcastic. They'll insult you with their greetings. So he was doing all that to me and I was like, it's pumping my adrenaline rush. So I just screamed at him saying that I'm making a movie. And he was just taken aback and said, can you make a movie with this device or this box? I said, yes, yeah, you can do it. I told him that this is the start button, this is the stop button. He took the camera back to his room that night. He started figuring out everything, every functionality or anything. I was so worried or tense that this guy is taking the camera, what he's going to do with it. He came back next day morning. He showed me some zoom effects or zoom outs, or you can magnify stuff, or you can just move like this, all these things. I was so fascinated. So we both formed a tiny team and we started making it. Now we wanted a girl to play in the short film. See, finding water in a desert is easy. Back in 2006 in a small town, asking a woman to act in a short film is really, really difficult. Somehow a junior agreed to do it and we could finish the short film with the script we wrote. Now we don't know what to do because it's a real camera. I couldn't really trace back to see what we shot or how exactly it is. So I started going out looking for video editing shops. So I went to a wedding video store. And that guy, I told him we recorded something, we want the output. He actually took the reel, he put it somewhere, he ran it, he saw the footage before us. And he said, what the hell is this? This is not a wedding. So I said, we made something, I want the output. So he just asked me what exactly it is. I read through the entire script to him. He was so excited that we were actually making a movie. And according to the things I described in the script, he edited the movie and he put it and he showed it at a stretch. Everything was so amazing, but when he played the sound, I could hear all the bikes and cars going behind. and people screaming and market sounds, the college sounds, and some of the bad words that people were speaking behind. I really don't want that to be put over there. I told him, like, no, why are you putting all these sounds? I said, sir, I didn't put them. This is what you recorded. I asked him, what shall I do now? Sir, we can do one thing. Just come on in. So I went in. He just took the camera. He again did the start button. He closed all the doors. He switched off the fan and said, sir, read out the entire script. So I just read the entire script. He video shot everything. He just extracted the MP3 out of it and he put it as a voiceover to it. So picture is ready. It was so fascinating that all my college friends and college mates were literally surprised because we made something out of it. And I put that as a short film, as an entry in all the short film competitions. And I won a number of competitions. I did not spend a rupee for that. It was all the cooperation from all of the people. But I kind of pulled off winning around 70,000 to 80,000 rupees back then over the course of 3 years in a lot of short film fests. It was agreed. If you see it right now, it's a lame short film. But back then, at that time, it was a mystery because we were a bunch of small town guys who don't have real great access to the technology and all. So that was the time I decided to get into movies as a writer, but not as a filmmaker. My father asked me what is the difference. So one evening in the year of 2008, it was my third year of engineering. I was coming back from college. I used to go on bicycle for the college. So when I was coming back from the college, a tune was just running in my head. All the thoughts I got were how a farmer would react to the environment around him. Like I just felt like there is this cold breeze hitting my body and I got a shiver. I just thought, everybody shivers when a cold breeze hits. I just thought, what if something hits the breeze that it could shiver? So I started writing a song on it, and to my surprise, I was able to sing what I was writing. So that's how a lyrical thing took its birth. And that was the moment of Menatoya for me. Menchoni, I'm sorry. I don't really know the word. I'm really sorry, but I know the meaning. So, sorry? Metanoia, yeah, that's the one. I tried memorizing it, but I'm sorry about that. So I know the meaning and the impact it created because I was patiently in a meditative state when that was happening to me. Like I was trying to weave a song and the song was automatically happening to me. At that point, I realized that every writer or every poet who writes a song, it's not that particular person who does that. It's the song that chooses the poet or the song that chooses the writer. Because I could have thought 100 number of concepts or situations or words, but why exactly that particular word? Why exactly that particular song? I don't know, it just happened to me. That happened to me in a state of patience and meditation. So that's how it took over. And then I decided that I wanted to become a writer. That's when I told my dad that after getting a job in Google, after coming to Hyderabad, one night at around 11 o'clock or so, I just called my dad and said, I'm going to quit my job. He said, okay, you started drinking or what? I said, no, I definitely don't want to be here. I want to be in movies. So he said he was upset, a little upset about my decision because I was safe. And the next morning, actually, I took a train and went back home. This was the picture. My mom was just asking me to eat something before talking to my dad. And my dad clicked that picture because he just wanted to just represent the calm before the storm in the house. But in middle class families, there won't be arguments or fights or people grabbing each other's collars or using big, big words. There will be absolutely stunning silence, which is unbearable and too loud in the house. Your father won't make you eye contact. Your mother is constantly worried. Your friends always tell you something that they are there behind you and you can go ahead and hit it. But you know what are all happening over there. After that, there is this school friend called Maharshi. He actually came to know that I'm trying in movies and he just came to me and said, okay, how long is this going to happen? So my father drew a line between a risk and a calculated risk. He said that I can give you 2 years. If you can get a movie offer, I can let you win another 2 years. It was more like a video game. So I just told my friend about that. So my friend said, I'll drop you at every film office on my bike. I can pay your house rent for 2 years. You note everything down. After 2 years, when you get money, you can pay me back. So we used to discuss a lot of stuff. And he told me that, what will you do after becoming a writer? I said, maybe, I don't know. My dream is someday, somewhere, a mother would be singing my song to her baby to put her sleep. Or maybe narrating the story I wrote. Maybe someday that could happen. Coincidentally, this friend got married. He got a baby. And one fine day, I received a text from him. I'm sorry, this was the one. He just I'm naming my daughter as Mihira. I said Mihira is a fantastic name and I just love it. That in fact that is the name I put to a satellite in the movie Antariksham when I was writing it. And he said, I watched that movie and that's why I put that name to my daughter. So that's the way I paid back to my friend. Of course, I gave him the money as well. So that's how it happened. And when I was struggling every day, what to do with the next day's bills, I have a friend, Abhishek Maharshi, who used to spend all night with me in the corridors of Yusuf and roads of Yusuf Guda at Maitrivanam, Mysore Bhaji, Bandis and all. When morning, when I was about to sleep, he used to go by leaving a 100 rupee note in my pocket secretly. That 100 rupee note is the motivation for me for the next couple of days. And he actually took me to his home. I lived with his family for 3 years while I was trying to search for movies and writing down. And after I became a recognition in the year 2018, I wrote for Inagarani Kemaindi, Gudachari, Chilaso, Antariksham, and finally I ended up writing Undi Porade. So after writing Undi Porade, I got identity. And the next year I got Arare Manasa from Falakna Madas. It gave me a recognition. And after Color Photo, I wrote Taragati Gadidati. It gave me respect. So finally, I realized that when you have this resilience, when you have this endurance, this is going to be a real test of patience and all. But when the test is happening, it's neither the money nor the power. It's the friends and good people around you that will make you feel rich. And this is Abhishek Maharshi who actually put that 100 rupee note in my pocket. And that's his face because I'm his friend. Every person who have a friend like me will have a face like that. That's for sure. Note it down. Because we both don't talk in a normal tone. We both don't greet each other with a professional language. We insult each other. We are really sarcastic. But when I call him and say, instead of giving a bad word, if I just say hello to him, he realizes that there is a problem. So that's the equation I have with him. So to conclude, my life over the past decade, 10 to 12 years, has been a roller coaster ride that every other artist or everybody would say. But what I say is, there is this fine line between risk and calculated risk. So if you know that you can do something, but you cannot prolong it, take a two-year interval or 1 year interval or 1 hour or 2 months or something. But just draw a line between a blind risk and a calculated risk. And someday, definitely you'll get there. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys.